going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Neosynthesis coming at you with an update on my Swordsoul list. I am fresh off of a 3-0 week at locals, so that always feels nice. Played against one rogue deck, a punk deck, and then I played... Oh, the rogue deck was Abyss Actors. They just got some new support in the set, but I'm not sure I'm sold on the deck. And then the third deck was Live Twin Sprite. All right, without any further ado, let's get into it. All right, start off with obvious stuff. So 3 Ecclesia, 3 Moyi, 3 Longwan, 2 Taya, the 1 super foreign one, because my good friend Nick gave it to me, so I'm going to play it. And then we play 3 Swordsoul Emergence, obviously, 1 English one from Alex, another gift from Nick, the 1 Summit, and then the 1 Blackout, obviously. So I just wanted to go ahead and lay down my whole Swordsoul package here and kind of talk about it as we go. So obviously, these are like your 9. I mean, it's really like 12, you know, really, really great draws most of the time. You know, as long as you have another Worm from OE, as long as you have another Worm in your hand for an Incredible Ecclesia. This card's like the best card to draw, obviously, because this card is able to search Taya, and then on its own... Oh, there's a piece of dirt in this sleeve. I just re-sleeved this deck. But anyway, yeah, Taya, basically you can make a 1-card level 8, which is insanely good, obviously. Get your whole Swordsoul engine going. Get your Blackout. I mean, hopefully you've got hand traps and other defensive cards, that kind of stuff. And we'll get into what else could be in the deck. Obviously, Taya is like really, really good too. Taya, I think, is like better on turn 2 by a lot than Moyi most of the time. Just because you don't need to have another Worm in your hand. Most of the time you're going to be, you know, emptying your hand out of your Tenyis and whatnot. But yeah, these are really, really great cards. Incredible Ecclesia. Oh yeah, I mean, we really don't need to talk too much about the Swordsoul, like, good cards. The ones that are interesting, I guess. I mean, Blackout I don't think is particularly interesting, but Summit I feel like just opens up a lot of options, like when you get... Ghost Ogred on your Shishao, sometimes you can just get Summit and revive Shishao and you don't end on nothing. I know I've done that on a couple occasions. This card's really good at just finding OTK lines, and yeah, I generally think it's pretty good and worth running, especially now that we have gone up in the number of cards in our deck. And we'll talk about that like a little later as a whole, but a little spoiler for later. For the Tenyis, we are bulking up on the Tenyis by a lot. We're going to, I suppose that would be 8 Tenyis in the main deck. Obviously, Ashin is amazing. Vishud is also pretty good. You could argue that you'd play 3. I don't know if you'd want to play this card, but because you don't want to have too many Tenyis. There definitely is a point where they get to be too much. But the reason that I play Shatana, and I think Shatana is just a really good card helping to like clear things, is because I played a Triple Heavenly. Triple Heavenly is just really, really good, being able to play around like Ash, Imperm, or not Ash, sorry, Imperm Baylor, or like, you know, the Punk spell, the Punk Trap is really, really popular now. There's plenty of like, you know, like targeting removal, like impermanence in the game. So I think Heavenly is really, really good for that. One application that I used in my I think in my second is either my second round or my third round, is I was gonna Nibiru the board, so I just used Heavenly to tribute one of my worms first, and then get like a Moyi for follow-up, and then I Nibiru'd and was able to find game and close the game out that way. But that's it for the Tenyis. I think, you know, most of them are pretty self-explanatory. The more you play, the kind of better they get. There's like a critical mass, but there is kind of a point where that critical mass, you know, clogs up your deck and weighs it down. But yeah, I'm really big on these cards. Shout out to Nick for giving me the Heavenly Dragon Circles while mine are in the mail. He also very much pilled me on the card, convinced me that it was good. It also convinced me to go above 40 cards, and it kind of keeps the consistency, because a lot of the time 1 Worm plus Circle will be Moyi anyway, which is why you can, you know, go up on cards and still reliably see Moyi, which I think is actually a really valid a really valid way to think about the deck because you're adding more Mois. But unfortunately, I'll get into later, obviously, it does have somewhat of a negative downside. Somewhat of a drawback, right? Because you just see your power cards, like Pot of Desires, a little bit less, like a couple percentage less. I mean, you could put it into the hypergeometric calculator and figure out exactly what the percentage is. But I'm happy with basically finding Moyi more often and getting into my Swordsoul. The deck played a lot better today, even though I was, seeing Desires less, in a theoretical sense. But that's it for like the engine cards. I mean, Desires is kind of an awkward thing. It's kind of its own card. So that's why I kind of just shoved it there. But into like, going second tools, Book of Eclipse is obviously really, really, important in this format. The Tactics Suite that I can afford to play, I'd probably obviously do 2 Thrust and 1 Talents if I had the second Thrust, but I do not. Anyway, yeah, Double Tactics is pretty good this format. Tactics and Thrust are obviously, flexible, going first, going second. Book of Eclipse is like, just a going second card that breaks boards. But yeah, Book of Eclipse is actually just really, really good in general. Maybe Book of Eclipse is a card that is good. I'm not sure. We'll have to see as it goes on. I think Book of Eclipse might just be a card that people will just start playing in general, because a lot of the times it just trades for like Baron, which is pretty good. And then you play, the standard hand traps. We play triple Ash, triple Impermanence, if I can do it correctly, and then triple Nibiru. Just draw them. That's the other downside. You just see these gorgeous cards less. But you're playing a lot of engine, and the deck is really good at winning with just its engine. But the hand traps are, they're really good. That's what enables you to kind of just end on like Shishao plus the set Blackout, and then like a couple hand traps. That's you can realistically win a lot of games like that. And yeah, you do. And you can go further and make Baron and whatnot. But I think Baron is just generally better as we go on. Speaking of Baron, I guess we'll move on to the extra. Double Monk, 1 Shaman, 1 Berserker. This hasn't really changed. I mean, these cards are really good. Berserker is Berserker is an insane card. It's still worth playing. I actually played against someone on tier a couple weekends ago, excuse me. And it was good. 1 Dragite, 1 Grimir Agrine, and then 1 Baron. These are like the non-worm synchros. I went into Baron a ton today, and I think that it's still like worth playing Dragite for the like niche situations where you'd want to make Dragite. And then Ice Jade is just really good versus Cash, so I didn't make it today, but Cash players love to rip that card. And then obviously the Swordsoul stuff, it's pretty standard. Just double Shishao, that's your boss monster, and then King Long One. A lot of the times, going for the draw 3 play is pretty greedy now because of the prevalence of Nibiru in the format, but this card is really, really good when it's good. I don't know how to explain that fully, but there's just a lot of situations where this card can like solo win you the game, but it also can like just do nothing. It really is situational, and the more I play the deck, the more I kind of can feel out what I need to do in the toolbox. And I think if you play the deck, you'll kind of feel the same way. Cheng Ying is just, Cheng Ying goes burr. Cheng Ying was amazing for me today. I made it 1 time and I immediately won the game. We go for, and then obviously the Yang Zings. I guess that's how we'll round out this extra deck. We play Chao Feng now. It's like a way to play around Nibiru if you have like the Tenyi. There's a couple times where I like wanted to make it. Getting like Ash Blossom is kind of funny from the deck. It's pretty good. There's a couple times I wanted to make it, not today, but in past tournaments. Today I did not make Chao Feng, but theoretically it could have been pretty good. If it was coming up before, but it didn't come up today. We'll assess whether or not it continues to not come up. And then for this side, it's a pretty basic side. I don't think too much is... Actually, it's changed a little bit. This is like, Going second, kind of generic sweet. You're pretty much siding this in a lot of the time going second against people who you think are going to, like, you know, make back rope as part of their board, or just, like, you know, just clog their board full of stuff that basically will stop you, floodgates, whatnot. Yeah, those are, like, our generic, like, going second sweet cards. And then we played double Lancia. It's kind of just like a space thing. So we had, like, 2 extra spaces, so we just, you know, double Lancia. Lancia's pretty good this format against cash. And then, you know, the Flunder player that's, like, in Desolation. And then our Bestial package is changed. This is another, like, Nick touch. I hadn't sided it in yet, but Triple Mag and Destrudo instead of the Druis, which he's basically, the argument is that this is a 1-card Yazi. Turns Magnamoot into, you know, Magnamoot just gets you into your Yazi, and Yazi is just, like, insanely broken. Whenever you can make Yazi, you should try to make Yazi. It's consider that. But yeah, it's pretty good. Just because it helps you, like, chew through back row, and, like, you obviously get into your you know, Swordsoul plays that having to use your normal summon, so you have, like, a backup angle. It can be very, very good and very hard to, like, deal with. And then triple D barrier, still our, like, going first option. It's the most broken one. I didn't sign in D barrier at all today. It wasn't really that good versus any of the decks that I played against. But I mean, it would have been pretty good versus Punk, but I think I didn't have an opportunity to side for going first. Anyway, thanks for watching. I know that, you know, going undefeated at locals doesn't really matter or whatever, but I think it's important to document your progress. And it's the first time I have been able to go undefeated at locals since I took, like, about 100-day hiatus. So I think we can count that as a win. This has been your Morning Synthesis. Peace.